Welcome to the Bigger, Braver Life show, where leaders and high performers learn to rewire their minds, regulate their nervous systems, and rise into their next evolution. I'm Angela Williams, therapist, leadership coach, and your guide to living, leading, and creating from deep alignment. Because your bigger, braver life isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more of who you really are. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm really excited to introduce our next guest, Marlys Woods. Marlys is founder and CEO of Get in Tune Music Therapy, specializing in adult and adolescent mental health. She is a board certified music therapist and a licensed marriage and family therapist. After years of relying on music to express her true feelings, Marlys learned that the way she was using music was actually harmful and it was keeping her stuck. So she set forth on a mission to show others how to use their love of music as a powerful and effective tool for healing. Marlys envisions a society where we all know how to feel and face emotions in order to achieve freedom in our lives. Welcome.
Thanks, Angela. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, and I should say welcome back. So actually, Marlys and I recorded an episode a while ago, and it kind of got lost in the files and now lost in my broken computer. So she's back to help us with her updated journey. So I'm really excited for you all to hear about the power of music. I think we all can kind of speak to using a story or speak to using music in our journey for just trying to calm down or shift our mood or something like that. So I'd love to hear the science behind that and how you got into all of that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited because since we've talked last, I think just my vision of what I actually do has really expanded to music being the tool to fuel creativity and healing.
Love
And
that.
so, how did that start for me? Luck, God intervention, higher power intervention, whatever you want to call it. I was the good kid that did everything right, had all these really lovely rules that I had to live by to have the perfect life, and was a music major to become a famous singer because I lived in Orange County, and learned about music therapy talking to a friend who was like, and I think she'd been in my classes for a year, and I learned that she was a completely different major than me. And I was like, music therapy, is this a joke? It exists? What? Like, I want this in my life. And so my like whole trajectory changed. I had to fight to get into this major. I was the last to graduate. Like it was a whole thing. And it has sparked a beautiful creative life that I didn't even think I could have because I had a lot of limitations around myself of being someone that was creative. I was a great mimicker, but I didn't think I was creative. And so along this journey, like my bio says, I learned this really important message that my way of using music was actually keeping me stuck. And what I mean by that is I was a singer, but no one knew it until I think my senior year, and like I did choir, but people just didn't realize. And I was mostly the basketball player, the athlete. And so it was something that I kept quiet into myself. I was singing and learning these songs about belting out pain, but I didn't talk to anyone about that. And no one asked the question, why is she learning these songs? Like my voice teachers didn't ask that. And if they had, I would have maybe had the balls to say, like, I'm in pain, I'm struggling. But the people I was listening to, they didn't say that. They talked about being guarded and keeping this to themselves. So my view was, oh, I'm going to be like Alicia Keys. Luckily, my pain people were not saying to kill themselves like most of the teens I work with. My people I listen to were just saying, like, I'm in pain, but I don't tell anyone. And so I learned I don't tell anyone either. I just sing it, belt it out, feel a little bit better, and then shove it down, pretend it doesn't exist, and keep going. So,
Relatable, a relatable journey to all of us, I think, in some way, shape, or form.
yeah. And so, my business over the years, we've created this method called the Feel It, Face It Freedom method. And the idea behind it is that we all use music as this tool to identify what we're going through, right? We hear this song on the radio, it inspires us in some way, or it like reaches that message that we didn't know we needed to hear. So it's unintentional. And then we might listen to it over and over again. And if you're not a musician or a creative, quote unquote, that's all you do with it. You might cry, you might let it out in some way, but that's it. So we take that part that we all know how to do and we show you how to use music as this tool to then face it. So we use music to fuel whatever your creativity is. So if you are someone that likes to cook or go for walks or organize their house or journal or use art, any of those things, right? We use it to show you how to use music to fuel it, to let out that emotion that you're struggling with. And then we use music as the tool to now communicate. So those of us that are creatives, we have that second aspect of like, hey, I get to belt out this pain, I feel better. But where I didn't get any help was now what do I do with that? How do I actually heal and move through it? And that's what our method teaches people is how do you use music and your creativity, whatever that may be, to get you to this place of being able to share with someone so that you can get help or communicate with yourself to be like, oh, I'm singing the song about being in pain or I'm, whatever it may be. Well, what tools do I need to use to help with that? So it's kind of this like stepping stone to take you through. And yeah, that's kind of like the broader part of like what we do.
I'm curious, when you are working with folks in this way, do you feel like this teaches them self-awareness or a great tool to teach self-awareness? And can you expand on how important that is? I think a lot of times, what I'm seeing in more of the leadership lens is a lot of leaders are going through not really self-aware, and that is impacting, right, all of the things that they're doing. So I'm just curious as to how that supports.
Absolutely. That was the only way for myself that I had any self-awareness. I was pretty numbed out as a kid and a teenager. And it wasn't until this song came on that hit me that brought this awareness to myself. And so intentionally using creativity to help us figure out what's going on inside is a great tool for self-awareness. So that's where like coaches or therapists like us come in to help kind of spark those moments to bring in the self-awareness and teach you how to find that on your own. So a fun example for that, if you haven't watched it yet, or those listening haven't watched it yet, the K-pop Demon Hunters movie that's out right now. It is this wonderful cartoon that is about these singers that are going to save the world with their voice. And as silly as that sounds, it's actually this really beautifully creatively shown way of like, how do we find the self-awareness? How do we share that with people? And how do we actually heal? So to answer your question of how do we bring in self-awareness or how do we help that with clients, it's like taking things that they are already engaging in and showing them like, how does this relate to your world and what you're going through? And so with my clients right now, we are watching that movie and saying like, okay, who's the bad guy in your world? What does that look like? How can we create a visual for that for you so that now you have this really clear picture in your head as opposed to this like abstract, like, oh, sometimes I have these negative thoughts or sometimes I have these uncomfortable emotions that we have been taught by society. Push those away, work harder, do more, and that will go away. But that's not what actually works or helps. And so bringing in creativity helps us to grasp these things more tangibly and have a picture or a word or a song, something to grasp onto so that we can then start to move forward with that self-awareness.
Absolutely. I think that's a really great point. And meeting people where they are. I know you work with adults and teens, so that's a really great, example of where to meet somebody where they're at, regardless if you're a leader with a team or a coach or therapist or whatnot. So I think that's awesome. I wanted to ask you out of curiosity, but where's the music for you in your life and your journey right now?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm back in it, actually. It's being a music therapist, you can imagine I might have gotten burnt out for a little bit and didn't lead sessions for a while, didn't listen to music on my own, didn't create anything or sing really for a while. And again, funny enough, this movie re-sparked that for me. So I think that's the other cool thing that creativity, whatever that may be for you, can do is that it inspires us to move forward. And so for me, I watched this movie and I was like, I don't even know what yet, but I want to create from this. Like, I just love how they brought together so well what I'm teaching people already. And so that's one of the cool things, if we like bring it back to you, the listener, is that creativity or these things that spark our interest can then help us to create and to want to do the thing, right? So if you're a leader and finding these things that you really enjoy, going in them, being like engaged in them, will help then inspire you to move in the direction of whatever it is that you're working towards. So for me, I haven't created new sessions in a while. I have my things that I do, I have my trainings that I do, and I'm now going back through all of them and thinking like, how can I bring in more visuals? How can I bring in more songs? How can I bring in more things to actually create, whatever message I'm trying to give to people? And then for myself personally, looking at these songs that like I'm like, oh, I think this could help someone else. Now I'm taking it personal. Like my therapist and I went through some of the songs and rewrote the lyrics to fit my story. And maybe eventually I'll actually sing it and perform it. Who knows? To answer your question, like the music is coming back in from just this one thing that I watched because a friend said, hey, you should watch this, you'll like it. And it re-sparked it for me. And that's kind of like the hope that we as coaches, right, are hoping we can find for you. How can we use this music to spark something for you? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing. And, what a breath of fresh air when you get that inspiration from an unlikely place. I think that's great. And when I reflect on what inspires me or gets me in a flow state, I think about, really just being, in nature and playing sports. Those are some things that I, am actually re-engaging back into that I haven't, we've been doing other stuff, little kid stuff, right, with our little one now. But yeah, like being able to just kind of go back into those things and refresh. And I love that. It gives you energy. And, I think a great tip for listeners is like, what are the things that make you passionate, and how can you re-engage in them? So yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And I think to even add on to that, we talk as therapists a lot about the inner child kind of running the show. And like when we are struggling or when we're stuck, we think, oh, I'm an adult now, or I'm a teenager, right? I'm the one running the show. But what we've learned in therapy is that actually when you get into those uncomfortable spots, it's your child that comes in. So, how do we most engage a child? You have a 2, 3-year-old now? 2-year-old.
Yeah.
When is he more engaged? Is he more engaged when he is listening to you talk to him about something serious? Or when you play a song or a movie or get him into a sport that he's, playing, right? That's what pulls our attention more. So
Right.
again, if we're trying to move forward as a leader, it's not how can I be more a leader and do more adult things. It's actually these creative things or sports or again, the thing that engages you or that would engage a kid
Yeah.
that's going to actually talk to that.
That young version. Yeah. And in sessions we're doing this a lot. Actually, the theme this week is how do we bridge the gap for our younger version of ourselves to where we are at now as well. So a lot of conversations about, the younger version of you may have had to hustle and figure things out to survive and that doesn't apply anymore, right? But we have the gap here. We don't have that information of now. That little version of you, younger version of you doesn't have it. So how can we go back and reconcile this information with them? How do we share them? How do we engage them? Yes, I love that you brought that up. I think that's such a powerful exercise.
And since I'm here to be the music lady and I haven't talked as much specifically about music, we can bridge that gap really easily, but also create safety through music. So that's something my clients and I are talking about too, is one, how do I remind that younger self that did have to protect myself in this way, fight in this way to survive, that one, I'm safe right now, and two, hey, can we let go and let's see if we can find some new ways to move through this that aren't just surviving, but it's actually thriving, right? And so music can be a great tool, as simple as putting it on in the background. I'm sure many of us have heard this, but my new term I like to call it is, someone else gave it to me, I can't take credit, but is that music is like this audio hug. And so when I am trying to move myself forward as a leader or move myself through my own mental health struggles, putting on some calming music in the background as an intentional tool for my brain to say, hey, I'm safe right now. And then, okay, how can I find new tools that are going to help me when maybe these normal protectors, as I use with my clients, aren't helping? So, like, for example, if I'm been told, oh, I have to learn every single thing and have all these facts memorized to meet whatever my goal is, then I'm just more stressed and have to figure it out and put it together, right? As opposed to, let me put on some music, take a deep breath and think, what are some of my other ideas that I can do? What are other ways that I can help myself? And so that's just kind of one way that we can use it. We can intentionally use it even more by, is there that song that came up that showed me, oh, okay, I am in this painful spot right now. How do I let that out? How do I release that from my body? So maybe it's rewriting lyrics to that song to help it be my story. So that's again bridging that gap, like Angela talked about. Or maybe it's drawing because I don't have words for it, because again, that 5-year-old me has taken a hold and they just know they're uncomfortable. So maybe I just need to scribble a black color on the page to let out that pain. And again, we use music to fuel that drawing. So maybe I'm going to turn on music that's uncomfortable to help me get that emotion out. Or maybe that emotion is too scary, so I'm going to turn on calming music to support me to still be able to get that uncomfortable emotion out, but not feel like I'm about to spill over and like lose it. Maybe it's pairing music and meditation together or music and movement. It kind of just depends on who I'm working with, what we're doing, but these are all different ways that, like, our goal is to teach you how to use whatever you connect to and use music to fuel it because of the way it interacts with our brain, our emotions, all those lovely things.
Yes, beautifully said. And I think what comes to mind as we're talking about this is the creative part in the, if we're looking at the internal family systems model, which you said parts, so I'm thinking, we both
Yep.
use that for our clients, but also for listeners, I don't know if I've shared this before, but Introduction to the Internal Family Systems Model is a book by Richard Schwartz. And it's a great book, I think, for both therapists and for anyone who wants to learn more just about kind of internal workings. But yeah, that creativity part, I always, we're trying to find what's that core center part of you that can come forward and lead the way here. And I think that's a really great, I have lots of ideas for trainings for leaders on that too, and things that I work in with the work in therapy as well. Yeah, I love to use that. I think that's great. And that creativity part, I mean, yeah, because we think about, as I'm looking at my 2-year-old, like what is he doing? He's coloring, he's, making stuff with Play-Doh, right? Like he's very immersed in that. And so I'm like, we all need to be immersed in that as well.
Yeah, because that's again the part that's taken over. So it's not, the 2-year-old is not going to understand me saying to it, right now I am anxious, and well, actually those might be words we would use, but it's not going to understand like I have to do A, B, and C so that I can become the next big leader.
Right.
It's going to understand, or like that age is going to understand like I don't feel good, like my heart feels like it's pounding, or my chest, it's going to feel the sensations.
Right.
And so that's where we have to meet ourselves. It's not in the talking and overthinking and
Right.
plan.
Right.
That's like last.
Yes, right. So true. So true. And the more, we can get creative, the more that we can tune in and open that up for us, that leads us to the flow state. All that can come more natural, as we allow ourselves to be calm, safe, creative, all of those things.
I can have a perfect example of that. As I woke up this morning and was trying to plan for this talk, I was like I said, I went into my first adult mode. I got to read everything and plan what I'm going to say and do it a specific way. And then because I've done the work, I was like, you know what? Let's go make some breakfast. And so taking that moment of just going to make some pancakes for myself, which in a way for some of us is like it's a way of creating, right? So if you're someone out there, I'm not creative, cooking can be your tool. But it actually,
Anything can be your tool. I argue with my numbers people that even the problem solving and that, right, like all of that, that's still
yes, exactly.
creative.
If you take anything away from this, you have creativity. You just have to choose to look at it that way, whether it is being an accountant, being, whatever it may be. But yeah, so I went, started making my breakfast, and all of a sudden it hit me like, huh, you want to talk about this K-pop movie because you're obsessed with it right now. And like, how many different ways does that pull in? And like, oh yeah, you're working with talking about like the inner child with your clients, like bring that in and how these two can come together. And I wasn't going to find that as I was reading through my notes about things that I do like that. No, but taking the moment to pause, be creative, and essentially tell myself, hey, I'm safe. I don't have to plan it all out. Gave me all of a sudden a moment of, hey, you know what you do.
Exactly. And that's a lot of the inner work that I'm doing with my leadership coaching clients right now is, we think that we have to push or work harder or 10x or whatever. No, we have to tune in. We have to give ourselves breaks. We have to give ourselves that calm, that safety, tap in the creativity, tap in the flow, and you're good because you already
Yeah.
got all the other stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
I love that.
You know it. You know it in your sleep. Like,
Yes, exactly, exactly. So, Marlis, I'm also curious, talk to us a little bit about, as a business owner, as a leader, as a therapist, right, all the things, burnout is real and wherever we are. So, talk to us about like how did you address that for yourself? And, I know that you've done some traveling and things. So, yeah, talk to us a little bit more from that side.
yeah. First, I gave myself permission to not be the music lady for a little bit. It first started like 5 years ago, probably is when it hit me after I finished all my hours to be at LMFT and was still running my business as a music therapist at the same time. I moved to Colorado with my, at the time, boyfriend, now husband, and I was just the admin for my business. I let other people do the music therapy, other people do the sessions, and just allowed myself to like do other things. And like music was still a part because my husband listens to music all the time, but I eventually realized like I'm never choosing the music. I'm never putting music on for myself. Like weird. All right, anyways, like so I didn't think about it for a while, but then there was continual like, oh, I need to give myself permission to not be this. So I did that for a while. And then slowly stuff just started kind of creeping back in that was like, actually I want to learn that song or I want to, you know what? Maybe I will be a music therapist again and do my trainings or do something like I kind of came in and dabbled a bit. So that was on the like work side. And then I had the beautiful pleasure of being able to be a digital nomad for 2 years, where that brought its own challenges that also probably made me have to turn back to music to calm myself in this unknown of, oh my God, every month we have to find a new place to live and all the different things that come out. Even though that is this amazing, super cool journey, it also has its own stresses that sound silly, but like, where am I going to live in a month is becomes stressful. But I got in that time to see different cultures, hear a ton of different music, interact with people, and learn about like all the things that we all struggle with as humans in other countries. And that gave me even more appreciation for like our country, despite all the chaos that we do not like and that we are probably all fighting for. I also realized how privileged most of the things we're getting to fight for are, that there's so many countries that can't even fight for these things. So it just brought like a new level of like appreciation and growth in different ways that helped me come back to music, and it influenced my work with people as well. But yeah, it was amazing. If anyone has the chance to do it, I would say take that risk. And listen, we came back with a bunch of debt and now we're working it off, like just because you get to do this doesn't mean there's like other things that don't go as planned. But I would still say to anyone willing to take that journey or take that leap, you get to grow a lot. It's pretty cool.
Yes, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So, what was your favorite place to visit if you could pick one? I know that's so hard to say, but
It is hard to say.
yeah.
And I have a million places more now that I want to go to
Yeah.
because the more places you go, you hear about somewhere new and want to go more places. I had two favorite places, I would say.
Okay.
So for the community and people I met, Bali, really enjoyed Bali. But Bali is not what I pictured it would be. It's a lot like It's a third world country. It's not Hawaii. So just
Yeah.
putting it out there for people if they choose to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It has beauty. It was probably the safest place we felt of anywhere that we went.
Yeah.
And we made some good friends there, and we went there 2 or 3 times with different groups of people. So it really became kind of one of the places that felt like more of a home. So really enjoyed Bali. And then the unexpected one was Bulgaria. We went to a mountain town called Bansko, Bulgaria. And it was after being in Southeast Asia for about 5 months. It was after only being in cities or beaches. And we're from Denver, Colorado. So we like mountains. And
Yeah.
so it was this reminder of like, oh my God, I love the mountains. We made a good friend there as well. I'm a very social person, so we made friends almost everywhere we went. Apparently, that's not normal. Most of the nomads we met are like, how do you have a friend in each place? So that's kind of the flip side also. It can be really lonely. You aren't always meeting people, you don't have a community, but you can actively make that, but you have to try. Anyways, so our Bulgaria was probably our favorite spot. It was just kind of a coming home of a reminder like we love the mountains and like, oh my God, yeah, Denver is great because that was around the time when we realized we should probably be heading back. And so it was like, oh wait, but we're going back to this. It's just more expensive. So,
Yes, that part.
yeah.
That's cool.
This isn't a question you asked, but another thing I really enjoyed, if you're someone that has stomach problems in the US, for me, it was significantly less in most countries. I learned from being abroad that I don't do well with corn. And our country, America, puts corn in everything.
Yes.
And so, but Europe does a lot less of that. A lot of people have a lot less problems in Europe. Asia
Yeah.
has its own set of problems, but still they don't use corn. So for the most part, my
Yeah.
stomach was
You were
great.
good. You were better. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've heard that from, yeah, various, I mean, traveling, people traveling and living and doing, with all that is definitely just in general because there's so much less extra crap that's put in the food. It's more fresh, right? It's just better for you, better in the system and, you know, all of that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just the other last thing I realized is the appreciation of the creature comforts we have in America. Like everything, this big or chair I have here, nothing, not even in Europe. There's nothing that was as comfortable as the hotels we have here, the
Yeah.
things you have in your own apartment. And you have to work harder in all these other countries. Like you have to walk everywhere and you have to, meaning like to go to the groceries or like Europe, a funny thing is like you have this tiny fridge. So you can only buy food for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
And
right.
right, so there's a lot more work that goes into living in other countries. So coming back, we were like, in those ways.
I love it. A little more ease on the side for different things. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. Can you tell folks where to find you and how to connect with you?
Yes. My company is called Get in Tune. So Get in Tune Music Therapy for Instagram. If you type in Get in Tune Music Therapy onto Google, it will come up with a Facebook, a LinkedIn, Instagram, those are probably the max of the ones that social media I've committed to. If you just type in Get in Tune Music Therapy, you will find me.
And we'll link all of those in the show notes as well. So, again, thank you. And is there any last thoughts or words you want to leave with the folks today?
Yeah, for those that are listening, just if you would like to learn more about this, please reach out. Like it really can change the game. Learning the ways to add music in and finding the ways that you are creative to your healing journey, your business, your just life overall, right? We already all know how to do it for working out, or you see how important it is in movies, right? But now how do we use that for our own personal life to have those same epic feelings and moments that running with music gives you, or that like those epitome scenes in movies gives you? We can make your life that way. So go ahead and reach out.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And for everyone else, we'll catch you in the next episode. You're not here for surface level success. You're here to expand. Visit angelamaria.co, where you'll find retreats, private coaching, and resources to expand your capacity and lead with calm, clarity, and authority. If this conversation moved you, make sure to share it with a leader who's ready for more.